Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday Comics Brunch. We normally play intros and warnings, but today I've got Danny from the Collective here. I want to get right to the interview. Huge news. You see it on the screen right now. There's a new location, a grand opening. I'm going to let Danny explain this to you on May 1st, what's going on, and introduce everyone and tell everyone the awesome stuff you do, Danny.
Hey, so I'm Danny Morales from the Collective. I'm kind of like the comic liaison is what my badge says. But we are technically in a soft opening mode because we opened about 3 weeks ago. Rob's had a chance to be in the store. It's twice. I mean, he never saw the old store, but it's twice as big, spacious spot. I mean, half comics, half games with tons of walking room. So what we did last year, kind of to try to keep fans happy, being in Central Florida where MegaCon is every year, people expect things like this. So we did the first Saturday of May last year was what we dubbed the Collective Free Comic Book Day, kind of, sort of. And we teamed up with a bunch of publishers, indie people, and they sent us free stuff. We provided them to people. So they didn't quite say Free Comic Book Day on the top, but they were free. And that's all people really want, free comic books. So we did that last year. It was a huge success despite all the restrictions. You know, we're still in masks, but we were 6 feet apart then, everything like that. And we still managed to have an absolute banger of a day with guys like Travis Gibb, Trey Walker from Scout, Jonathan Hedrick came out, David Summey, tons of great people. Now, all those guys are coming back for part 2, which will be May 1st, which is also the grand opening of a new location. But there was this cool book that if you follow Rob or you follow Travis Gibb or any of those guys, you've heard of Cthulhu Invades Oz, I'm sure, at some point, with over 50 creators working on it. Our goal is to get upwards of 20 creators. Right now, I have a confirmed 16 if you include me and Steven, who wrote one page and colored one page. So we have 16 creators currently from Cthulhu Invades Oz scheduled to be in the building. And that list is growing. There's still some people that weren't involved with Cthulhu Invades Oz, but are great comic book creators. We have them coming out. Plus, we've teamed up with Mad Cave, Scout, and a couple of other people that are going to send us free comics, things that are not essentially free to other stores. They're sending us bundles of 100, 200, AWA Upshot as well. So we are going to have free comics to give out, despite it not being the industry standard of Free Comic Book Day. Plus, Rob's going to be there. I mean, Rob, Richard Rivera. Let me off the top of my head try to go. Rob will be there. Richard Rivera, Travis Gibb, David Byrne, David Galliano, Stoney Williams, Kyle Willis, I believe, will be there. David Summey. Oh, Heather Gibb, which edited a lot of the stuff that's Travis's better half. She will be there. Wendy Gale, which is Chuck's better half. And Chuck will actually be here from Texas. Wendy Gale, Chuck's wife, will be here. And Stoney Williams from Oklahoma. Those three are carpooling all the way for this grand opening. So we're super proud of what we're kind of doing here, because if people are willing to drive from Oklahoma and Texas, I think I'm doing something a little bit right, at least a little bit.
First off, I've seen the store, as you mentioned. It's beautiful. It's a great store. It really, you get into it and it feels like you're welcome, and this is the type of place you want to hang out for hours. It's going to be a fantastic day. I get to see Chuck. Me and Chuck haven't seen each other since 2019. And we were talking about this behind the scenes. This is the biggest event for a lot of us creators since 2019 for some of us. I know for me, I haven't seen these many friends since I did the signing for Cthulhu, but that was private. This is going to be a public event where we invite everyone to come hang out with us. And this is in Florida, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned that. I'm so excited. Sometimes I forget. This is Altamont. That's how I say it, right?
Altamont? Yeah, Altamont Springs, Florida. We're like just, just east of Orlando. I think in theory, if you were staying with the mouse, we'd be about 30, 35 minutes away.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful area. There's a lot of food around there too.
Hey,
like I'm telling you, this is like a perfect place for a comic book store. We got there and I was like, all right, I'm set up. Now you do more than just what you're saying right now. Tell us about the interview series you began.
So about a year ago, I think I'm on episode 38 now, and we do them weekly, and I haven't missed one, thankfully. I do the Collective Spotlight every Tuesday, 5:30. Originally, it started as a way to spotlight the Kickstarter books that we would fund on a retailer level. While we absolutely love doing that, I couldn't make that sustainable for a weekly show just because we couldn't afford to back a Kickstarter every week. So what I eventually did was I started reaching out. I'm like, there's guys like Travis Gibb that have 2 or 3 different books out. So what it is a spotlight interview. Usually if I get to double book it, it'll be 2 30-minute spots. So it'll be an hour-long show. But what I do is I interview 2 creators that have a book either coming out on the shelves that week or just finished a Kickstarter. Something, it's going to be very topical in one way, shape, or form. Or if it's a signing coming up, that way. And then I give them 30 minutes. I mean, I do an interview, but it's very much how me and you are doing it, Rob, that I kind of give them the floor to talk 30 minutes about their book. You know, I'll ask questions like, what was your inspiration? Where, you know, what is the series going to be ongoing, mini, things like that. But really, it's 30 minutes of sometimes both the writer and artist just spilling, you know, their heart out there, talking about the book, which I think is the way to do it. You know, I'm nobody special necessarily, so I don't need to be talking when I do my interview for 30 minutes. It's the creator's time, you know, and I think we've done a good job. I actually just had Chuck on last week.
I will say this. I've watched it. It is great to see someone taking that approach. Very often it almost feels like, hey, I'm Rob. I'm going to do an interview today of myself, and I'm going to have Danny talk every so often. So I do appreciate you, and that was one of the things I said to you when I wanted to bring you on the show. I want people to know that you're out there. You're helping with the comic book store. You're the comic liaison. Is that what the creative liaison? And I went in your store. You have a lot of indie titles. There were things that I was like, ooh, this got here? Like shocked. Absolutely like, how did this get here? Not knocking it. But you don't expect to see, because I know friends from up north that are suddenly in your store. And I'm like, this is a guy who's paying attention. This is someone who really knows the field and is trying to be part of the comic book industry. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the collective on May 1st. Are you guys worried, not to get political, but are you worried about the whole COVID thing? Is there any extra precautions you guys are, because, you know, that's where we're at, right?
So who mentioned it? Somebody was in there. I think Jonathan Hedrick was in here just the other day, and he said because he's been there twice now in the new location. So he's the guy that's got the most feel for it. He's our Celine Dion. He's pretty much got a residency. But he looked around and he goes, how are you going to fit 20 people in here? And I was like, you know, in a perfect world, I'd just say it's Artist Alley and 20 of you guys are all side by side. Ideally, though, I'm not going to get to do that realistically. So what I come from, and granted, having been at a comic store, my previous job was working at a community college. So completely different. But I picked up one tiny thing from working at the community college is when they used to have to do the student engagement type of events, they treated it, I'm not going to say quite like a scavenger hunt, but more like a treasure hunt kind of sort of. You would go to station 1 and you would pick up like a map or a checklist of some sort. And then you go to each table, so that way things can be spread out a little bit more. And as you've seen our store, I'm definitely going to have to put some creators in the gaming section, but that's fine. There's plenty of room to walk around. So what I'm going to do is as soon as they enter, they'll get like a sheet that's maybe a checklist telling you everybody who's here and what table they're at. And then if they go to every table, and they don't have to buy anything because I figured that would be super cumbersome to buy from 20 different people. But as long as they go and talk to everybody, and you guys, I might give you guys like a stamp or like a pen or something and be like, just mark it off that those people came to your table. And at the very end, we will give them a free giveaway. And that's kind of how I'm hoping to make sure that there aren't huge lines at everybody's table. You know, if everybody wants to go see Chuck, I don't need 20 people at Chuck's table since there's 19 other people in the building. So I'm hoping to have that strategy be able to spread people out. Obviously, we don't have a sign on our door. But, you know, if you walk in without a mask, we will offer you a mask. And if you really, really don't want to have a mask on, and if it's a day like that, I will, you know, say, hey, make sure you go up to each creator and ask if you're even okay to talk to them. Because I'm not going to put one of you guys in situations like that. As the comic liaison, I'm not just like, it's weird because I don't just have to worry about the customers. And some stores may not think of this, but I have to worry about you guys. You know, you guys are our guests, and I want to make sure you're happy. Nothing terrible happens to you guys. Like, and that's a big thing for me. So I'll be making sure to do that. But at the end of the day, we're not super worried. We'll have tape, like the little 6-foot like spots like we did last year. But we're not we're not doing anything that's going to make people line up at the door at opening. We're not doing grab bags, right? Which was actually our biggest concern, is if people start lining up at the door an hour before open, how do we control that? So we're not going to do any grab bags, which in the past is typical for Free Comic Book Day. You know, first 20 people in the door get a grab bag. But we're just not going to do that. And I've advertised that while we open at 10, you creators will officially be signing at 11. So there's not a mad rush through the door to go get the Cthulhu signed and things like that. So small little things. And again, if a customer comes up to me, I've had customers that are whether high risk or things like that. I do as the guy at the register. And they're like, well, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it out just yet. I'm not vaccinated, this, that, or the other. And I always tell them, whatever's safe for you, but I don't want you to miss out on things. So if you do want a signed Cat Dad and Supermom, let me know. Send me a message. I will get Bobby to sign that and do that. If they want a Belial, I will go to Chuck and get that. So we handle the people who are still weary of coming in. We arrange things for them. Yes, they can't meet you and shake your hand, but we will get them to sign things and things like that. So that's how I'm approaching it.
And how long does this go on for?
Like your guys' event?
Yeah.
So I have it scheduled, like obviously the Facebook event's for the grand opening. So it has our whole store hours. I've been telling people that we're going to essentially 11 to 6-ish is going to be the party. You know, I'm going to try to have live music booked, food trucks, or at least Jeremiah's Italian Ice out there, things like that. So like literally from like 12 to 3, I'm thinking is the live music. And then I know like some guys like Jonathan Hedrick might need to get out a little early. So I'm telling people, you know, the earlier the better, but I told him I can't keep 20 guys until 8 o'clock at night. I just can't, you know? So I said, like, we're going to do 11 to 5, 11 to 6-ish. And then as people go home, you know, I mean, Trey Walker is literally in Altamont. He'll probably stay the whole time, but I'm not expecting some of you guys that may be trying to also enjoy Orlando. I'm not expecting, you know, you guys to stay the whole day.
Now, Chuck has entered the room. For those who just listening and don't know who's talking, because sometimes I know people listen in the background. Chuck is the one guy that if you buy a book at that store that day, he's probably edited and it's his book.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot for me to sign, hopefully, which I'm excited for.
Chuck's going to be the only guy that actually gets his own table, and it's only because I need all that space to put the books that say Chuck on them.
You need 2 tables. You need 2 of them.
Right. Well, yeah, we're going to have a landing table and then my table. You know, it's just kind of... Well,
for that day, I might have to change the name of the collective initiative to the Chuck Initiative, because I literally 90% of those books are edited by Chuck.
Well, but I don't have a table all by myself because I'm sharing it with Wendy, so that'll be great.
So she'll be elbowing you off a little bit.
Oh yeah, she'll be helping me too, and of course, you know, I'll have to be getting people psyched for the stuff that she's got coming out. So you know, it'll be a team effort like it always is with her and I.
And Mike,
it's gonna be...
Danny,
go ahead.
Tell you, Mike says, I will not forget Danny, not for all the good he does, but for the 9-panel story. I want to make sure you saw that while you were here with us right now.
I love the 9-panel. I love how the 9-panel story has taken a life of its own, because it started as a harmless suggestion from Jonathan Hedrick, turned into a harmless script, turned into Brian Silverbacks, turned into a harmless Brian Silverbacks being like, I'm not doing 9 panels. So it's turned into a life of its own. And then Matt Knowles, who I have to give a huge credit to, started with the nickname Danny 9 Panels. And I'm notoriously known for having like a terrible signature. Since the time I was 16 and I had to sign my first driver's license, like it was just a squiggle. So when Matt Knowles said, "Oh, Danny 9 Panels," I'm like, dude, D9P, like that's genius. So I've now entirely changed my signature. All Cthulhu Invade Oz's have been signed with the D9P signature. Some guys say it may look a little phallic, but I'm sticking with it. I'm not changing the signature.
Their own. Look, it's 21. I'm not judging anyone for the signature or anything else. But I mean, this is pretty exciting. You're bringing together the biggest amount of creators that have been assembled in Florida since Central Florida Comic-Con in 2020. I think we got, if I'm not mistaken, we got that off in 2020. That was it. Since then, there hasn't been this group of creators coming together. Chuck's coming all the way from Texas. I'm excited. Chuck's going to meet Jax. I actually had to talk to the ex, and I might owe an ex a favor now. Ugh. But I did it so Chuck could meet Jax, because he's been working on Jax's book since Jax was like 3? Was he 2.5, 3? Like when you first started?
It was 2017. So you tell me, homie.
He was 2. So he was 2.
He was like 2 turning 3, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was right around that window, and it's just amazing to now see these two come together. It's going to be great. I'm going to finally be able to give him some books. I've got the preview catalog I've been holding for him, so it'll be a pretty. Plus, he'll if he needs any extra advocators, I can throw him some extra advocators. We have some left over. So it's one of those. He's almost coming to refill because it's cheaper.
I'm
to
home with a box because I actually have to. And Jonathan Hedrick, God bless that guy, who's actually his birthday. Shout out to Jonathan Hedrick. I think turning 40 today.
Oh,
but
happy birthday.
He's like, I'm giving him his comps because we did a store exclusive for Freak Show Night, which was edited by Chuck, years ago. It feels like. But I'm giving Jonathan his comps because we weren't sure if the publisher who was giving them to him. So I said, hey, it's my job to make my guests happy, people I collaborate with happy. I gave him comps, and he's like, oh, I'll probably end up giving Chuck 5 of them. I said, nah, bro. Those 5 are for you to make profit when con season starts again. I will give Chuck his comps.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I have to. I mean, first of all, back behind the scenes, they overship us a tiny bit to make up for damages and things like that. So right. I'm not hurting to make sure Chuck gets a couple of comps for a book he clearly edited. So,
and that is a real thing, guys. If you have an editor on your team, credit them first off, because I say it all the time. If I flip open a book and I don't see an editor listed, I will not buy your book. Just so you know, and I am preaching that to people now. And second, it's the right thing to do. And third, the editors make it better. Give them the credit and give them copies of their book. No editor should go without getting copies of their work. I mean, just imagine someone not giving you your copies, even if it's like 2 or 3. A little bit goes into their library. They can sell one. They can put one in the vault, and they can carry one. Right, Chuck?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and again, I view it as, and again, it's been a weird year, but I view it as a potential for you guys to make some money too. Because if I send you 5 comps, clearly Chuck might want to hold on to 1. But if he goes to a con, he can then put out 4 and, hopefully make, a couple bucks there. So, and that's something that he put his blood, sweat, and everything into it by editing it. Hopefully he can make some money back, year later with that. So that's the way I view it for everybody, all the creatives, whether you're writer, artist, editor. If your name's on the book and we're involved and somebody's not giving you comps, I will make sure you get a couple of comps.
Now, I do want to ask you one thing, and I have to ask. So, how's Cat Dad and Supermom going over there? Because me and Chuck.
So, first of all, I love and I told you because I wasn't able to be there right as the signing ended, and I was like, hey, if you can just sign the rest of them for me before you get out of here, and you did, and I love how you signed them right on like the window too, but first of all, so the Scoop books are doing amazing for us. Anytime a parent walks in, and we've totally revitalized our kids section because most comic stores' kids sections are just, hey, kids, here's comics. And there's no rhyme or reason or flow to it. So I've kind of taken the opportunity of doing a new store plus the launch of Scoot to make everything stand out. And what I did, and I actually never got a chance to post it, but the day that you came for the signing, Richard Rivera was nice enough to drop off a big old Scoop print. Like, it's like huge. It's bigger than 11 by 17. He brought a frame and everything. So we put it at the top of our kids section, and it's almost like an island. And all the way around it are the Scoop books with Cat Dad and Super Mom right there on the front facing the walkway. And dude, every day I'm selling 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ordered super high so I could get the VHSs and things like that too, the Disney VHSs. And I think I just saw the man himself walking back there.
Yeah,
oh no, there. But we're doing great, man. And that's what I love about the Scoop books. Like, the Scoop books are freaking awesome because even when it's a one shot like your guys and it's $3.99, or when it's the ongoing nonstop style at $1.99. I think what Scout is doing with that all ages media is phenomenal because kids sections, not just in our store, but every comic store need those books, especially those $1.99 price points, man. Like I know Cat Dad Supermom was like a one shot, so it got the $3.99 price point, but Scoot is going to be in a lot of households real soon just because of that price point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. Yeah, it's a game changer. It really is. Like, even just the idea of Scoot, but the fact that they're willing to try different things and play around with what they're doing and everything, it's huge.
And they keep adding titles. I mean, we're not going to be the only cat title. There are these super cats. I mean, I'm just saying, I was there first. I'm just saying.
the first animal book there.
There might be a fight. Cat Dad takes out the super cats. I'm just saying. No, it's great. It's great to see all these things getting added by Scoot. And like you said, Danny, that's what I want to hear. Dyslexia taught me how not to read, I should say. It stopped me from being able to read. So I had to teach myself how to read with comic books. So doing comic books, especially for kids, if I can get a kid so interested in that book that they start looking at it, because I've told this story many times. Jax used to rip books apart. Give him a book, he'd rip it. First time I handed him Jax the Anderson, which is that bigger magazine one I handed you.
I remember that one.
He stopped, he looked at it, and from that day on, I swear to you, he doesn't rip books. They fall apart sometimes because he gets rough and gets excited, but he doesn't just rip them. Books can really inspire children, so thank you so much for doing that. I do want to ask about the indie. How can a creator who's watching say, no, that's going to happen? I know the minute you leave, Rob, how can I get in touch with Danny? Rob, how can I get my book in Danny's store? So can you just talk to them about the process of getting into your store?
Okay. So yes, and actually we're actually working on potentially, and if MegaCon would allow us, we've pitched doing a whole panel on this at MegaCon, whether it's 2021 or 2022. But so to get like the best way to do it, and there's a lot of ways to do it. I've actually talked about how the cold call is kind of a thing of the past, but if done right, a cold call still works. But ideally, because comic stores, I mean, you catch them on the wrong day, man, they're going to forget you. You catch them on Tuesday while they're doing stock for the new week, they're going to forget about you. You catch them on Wednesday when new comic books just came out, they're going to forget about you. So I always tell people, if you're going to cold call, you cold call on Monday, because that's the day that the important people will probably be there, but there's not much to do. So if you're going to do it, do not do it Tuesday, Wednesday. Probably don't do it Thursday either. Monday, Friday, and really Friday, boss man's usually gone already. But so for our store, the way I do it is we allow people to totally reach out to us: Twitter, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, we're Collective CCG, Instagram, Collective CCG. But I have my email, danny@thecollectivecomics.com. What we just ask is you let us know, and whether you're doing it through Kickstarter retailer tier, or whether you're doing it through just like how Travis sometimes does it. Hey, I'll give you X amount of books for X price. Send me the info. If Rob has actually been nice enough, he sends me an advanced PDF. So obviously sending a PDF helps a lot, because the clientele knows, oh, I can sell this to so-and-so or so-and-so and so-and-so. And that helps you know how many numbers you're doing. And then also, I tell people this with especially the Kickstarter people, you gotta be semi-realistic. And I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way. You have to be semi-realistic with your price point. If you're doing a 28, 32-page floppy, and I know on Kickstarter that very well could garner $15, because that's the way Kickstarter is built. You're likely just not going to get into a shelf space at a $15 32-page comic. It's just the reality of it. Now, when you get to a graphic novel and you get like to your 4 issues in it, and it's maybe 30, 35, we can talk then, because that's much more practical. But that's the one thing I warn people. I did have a guy come in. He successfully did his Kickstarter, and he's local, so he had a stack of copies. He's like, I'd love to put them on your shelf. I heard about you guys. And I was like, all right, I flipped the book over, and he has a barcode, which again, if you can put a barcode on your book, please do so. It's amazing. I cannot say it enough. But he has a barcode, and then right over it, I see $8, and it's a 28-page comic. And I'm like, so what are you like looking for? He's like, well, I've already talked to many retailers. They told me the $8 price point's not going to work. I'm looking to do it for $5. And I said, you're in, dude. Can you sign all the copies for me? I've got you on the wall. And I flipped through the book. I made sure it was like put together well, professional. I mean, we're not dream crushers. If somebody comes into our store with a self-published book, like, it is done. They're not asking us to go fund it like after the fact. And it is done, and the price is right, we'll at least carry 2 or 3 copies. We've seen, and I don't want to like crap on anybody. We've seen some bad books, but the price was there. The people were nice people. They were local. They came into the signing. We sold out of the books. But, I definitely flip through the books and make sure it's a decent product. Make sure you're lettering. You got to have word bubbles, man. Somebody gave me a freaking book with no word bubbles. Like, they had dialogue, but there was no bubble structure. So your book has to present a little well. We're not going to take a chance on just anything. But I also tell people, First and foremost, come at me. I understand that a lot of the Kickstarters, it's business. Like they treat it like marketing. Come at me like a normal person, because being a cool person will help get you on the shelf just as much as having a great book, to be fair. I tell people all the time, they're like, how do you find these people? How do you decide what's on there? I said, I don't put anybody on the Collective Initiative shelf that I wouldn't, share a beer with or like invite over to my place or things like that. These are people that we're comfortable having in the store for signing. We're comfortable meeting anybody that is our customers. So it helps when you're a nice person. That definitely helps get you on the shelf. But yeah, we do everything. Cold call, email me, Facebook message me. I send a PDF always helps, Rob, as like you did with a bunch of your books, because I can look through it, see who I'm going to cross pull it for. But like, just give me the bare bones information, and then cost. I need to know cost.
Yeah, the PDF is so huge. You want them to, because especially with me with the fetish book, people don't know what to make of that. You say you have a fetish book, and they're like, oh, what kind, like, what will this be? What am I putting on my shelf? And when I give my book, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not what I expected. By doing that, you open doors. I'm telling you, it works. Plus, you're building a trust between you and the cultivator or whoever is in charge of doing that. And I tell them, show your entire store. Don't care. Every employee can read this. I don't care about a PDF getting. Everyone's like, oh no, my PDF's going to get shit around. I'll tell you what. I had a book shit around, and I told Chuck this story, and you'll like this, Danny. You know what SCAD is?
Yeah.
So my original book, Barbara Unleashed issue 1, was shared around so much at that school that a professor came to talk to me at a show and said, all of my students love your book. They love the art in it. This is amazing. And I remember going back and looking, and I'm like, we didn't sell anything in South Carolina except for one PDF. And, I never got mad about it. I was thrilled that people were talking about my story, because that's just some of it. You want people to be excited. And I know that, now when I go to those South Carolina shows, people run into me and go, I've seen this before. Yes. So don't be intimidated by PDFs. So let me ask you one final question, because I know you got to get going. You guys moved. You have this new location. What's the future look like? We're opening up. It's the pause is beginning to break and motion is beginning to happen. What's the future look like for the collective?
So I actually was, again, we're planning this grand opening, right? We're the newest tenants in the whole plaza. From my understanding, if any of you have heard of Tibby's New Orleans Kitchen, they're the anchor store in our plaza. We were told in no uncertain terms they paid over $1 million for the lease. So they're the one that our landlord feels like he needs to please, right? So I joked with our boss the other day, Brendan. I said, "Oh, so they're the ones who run the plaza pretty much." And he goes, "For now." And I kind of laughed because I didn't understand what he meant at first, but for now. And then I'm like, oh crap, he means like he wants this to be our plaza. So we are the corner unit, as you saw, Rob. And in between, we're kind of off to the side, but it works really great for us, because the parking is every parking spot is for our customers and nobody else. But it also helps us out because our two nearest neighbors are empty units. And we actually, on the first neighbor, we have a 1-year option. That's in the contract. So if Joe Schmo comes up and says, I want that unit next to the collective, landlord has to come to us and say, Joe Schmo wants that unit. What do you want to do? And more likely than not, we're just going to say, we want the lease for that unit, tear down the wall. So the idea is that we can at least double our space while still staying in the same location if things go well. We'd buy out the tuck shop that's next door. That's an extra, very small place, but it's about an extra 800 square feet, excluding the wall. So we'd almost add about 1,000 square feet after that. And then right below it was a bridal shop that is literally the exact size as our shop. So we would be doubling in. Bren hopes to do it in 3 to 5 years before our lease expires to continue to move on, so that hopefully that can help us with the lease, and everything like that, just continue to extend it. But yeah, I mean, we seem to have found a happy home, a place that we're really happy with. Our old store, I don't think neither of you got to see it, but it was very tiny, and we were in between a dentist and an optometrist, which brings foot traffic per se, but nobody goes to the dentist and says, I can't wait to go to the comic shop after. There's not cross pull there. So we're excited to be within our own place where we can bring our own customers to us. We don't have to worry about, is Domino's bringing us customers or is 2J's bringing us customers? And we're excited for that. King Shark, you have a question.
I do. You know what you guys should do is you should get some collective, some like when the collective comes out, or when you have any like collective special editions or whatever, put them in the dentist office. Seriously.
Well, no. So what's funny is we actually they were like throwing away some stuff, and our owner was like, can we have that? And so we took it to our new store, and then he was like, if you guys ever need lobby magazines, we got you. And it was funny, we'd existed there for 5 years and never thought like, hey, we should maybe drop some comics off in the lobby. Like, same thing with the eye doctor on the other side. I'm like, I never in a million years thought we should drop some comics, especially like the free comic book day ones that have the empty space and you can stamp like the collective or whatever. So that's genius. And again, one of those things that when like, and I have to thank my staff because, you know, Steve, you guys have met Steven, and then we have Zoe and Megan, and then Maddie I don't think was there. Actually, no, Maddie was the one that was closing up the day you were in there, Rob. But I have to thank my staff because I can't do it by myself. It's too much. I mean, even if I thought I was Albert Einstein, it's too much to juggle, too many people to remember, too many billing things. So I have to really thank Brendan and the staff for helping me because I couldn't do this by myself. I couldn't open my own comic store and be like, I'm going to do this and this. I would die. I would absolutely die.
And just so you guys are aware, this is in Altamont Springs, Florida.
Altamont Springs, Florida, just east of Orlando. So we're like in the Central Florida I-4 corridor right there. Our store is literally right off I-4. So if you're coming from the Cape, you can just come off I-4 and Altamont Springs Drive, and you'll be there. If you're coming from the Mouse, you get off on I-4 the other way, and you see us. We're like 30 minutes from anything that isn't Tampa, Florida. So like we're 30 minutes from the Mouse, 30 minutes from Daytona, 30 minutes from Space Coast, 30 minutes from Kennedy Space Center. So that's why another reason Brent thinks we can become a destination store at some point, because we're in that Central Florida I-4 corridor. Yeah.
And I can't stress this enough. It is right off the highway. It is in a busy place. You can do it. Like if you're traveling to do MegaCon on your way down, you should just call ahead and say, hey, Danny, I'm going to be in town. I want to stop on my way to go to MegaCon. Can I stop and see your store? You could stop for a half an hour, have lunch, then go to the store, then be back on the road, go to your MegaCon thing. And then maybe on the way out, you're dropping off books. This is something that you guys should. I completely agreed about being a destination store. I think it's a great location. I think it's perfectly placed between all of the events that you do see. You'll have Daytona, Tampa Bay Comic-Con. This isn't a good place to reach any of them. I know you said you had to go after 30 minutes. 30 minutes is hit. So just tell them where they can follow you, and I'll be seeing you on May 1st.
Yeah, and Chuck, we're going to all be together May 1st. So come out. The Collective, we're in Altamont Springs, Florida. We're on all social media under Collective CCG. So Facebook.com/Collective CCG, Twitter.com/Collective CCG, Instagram Collective CCG. I am on Twitter under Danny9Panels. The 9 is the number. But yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to try to get their books in the store, we're always, I don't say that we're just taking open submissions because I feel like that opens the Pandora's box, but we are always taking submissions. I mean, somebody blows my mind with a comic book, I am going to immediately send them the PayPal funds and ask for tracking, you know? So, we're always doing fun things like that, man. If you're in Central Florida, stop by the Collective. If you're coming to MegaCon, or if you're on vacation with your family, because actually Frank Martin, who's a Kickstarter creator as well, he was literally just in Central Florida on vacation and called me to come by the store. And he's like, I didn't bring any books, but, you know, once I get back home, we'll talk and I'll send some books. But I was like, awesome that a dude literally took time out of his family vacation and stopped at our store for 20 minutes. And, of course, I hooked him up with a Cat Dad and Supermom for his kid, and I hooked him up with a Soul String for his daughter. So I hook people up, you know, and all creators, and I'll make sure to get all you guys one when you're in the store. But all my creators get complimentary Collective memberships for life. It's a thing that we offer to our customers, which are freebies and things like that. But I've been giving them out to everybody because I tried to give discounts to creators, and they're like, no, I want to pay full price. I'm like, well, I got to give you something, man. So I give them usually a T-shirt and an honorary membership to at least, you know, so that they can support the Collective.
And I'm you know, when I bring Jax, he spent the whole day finding the comic book, like because he knows I have my son trained. He knows he can't get a lot. So he knows he has to choose wisely. He spent the whole day scanning. What should I ask for?
What's the one thing I can grab? That's great.
What's he gonna go ahead with? And I kept seeing him look up at the displays. I'm like, you keep your eyes below.
You don't have that, Dad. I have to tell my kids that all the time. I'm not that dad.
When we see Cat Dad Super Mom on Cartoon Network, then Rob will be getting all the
talk about it.
At that point, I spoil my kid. I love Jack. Don't get me wrong, but I would never do that even at that point because I think you'd raise a too spoiled of a kid. There's a difference between getting your kid. I mean, he's 6. He's not no display for him. When he's older, sure. When he gets older and he can respect it. But I see what he does to his Transformers. I have a whole collection of Transformers locked in the garage. He will never see.
No, but he was well behaved, man. For being a 6-year-old having to sit in a comic store just watching his dad for 5-6 hours, he was very well behaved. So that's awesome.
He's done more cons than some creators. He's already broken 100 cons.
He's done more. He's done more signing events this year than anybody else because of COVID. Nobody else is doing signing events.
And he signed. He was there and he actually signed because someone said, "Can he sign it?" And I handed him the pen and I helped him and he wrote his name. How cool is that he's out there?
And I remember that happening, and I thought to myself, dang it, I don't have Jack signing my book. So now I got to bring my book back on the 1st to get Jack to sign it.
He loves it. And if we go to panels, he wants to talk on the mic. He's already hooked. He's going to be a creator of some sort. But thank you so much for taking the time today. I know today's WrestleMania. Everyone's got plans. Just bring it. So you go out there, you have fun. And me and Chuck are going to talk about other places that are opening up now. And,
for sure.
How excited I am to see Chuck.
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for having me on. And again, I want to tell everybody, even if you're not in Central Florida, go support your local comic shop. Yep. It's been a tough year, and as you go further north and further west, man, those places have struggled. And I know I had a guy call me the other day, and he said he's ordering books from us because he doesn't have a local comic shop anymore. He said all 3 near him closed down in the last year. So if you can, man, whether it's buying gift cards or something like that, or making an online order, support your LCS because they're the lifeblood of this industry, and they've struggled for 12 months now. And places like Bink and places like that are helping, but nothing helps more than the customers. So that keeps that place alive. So thank you, guys, and we will see you all on May 1st. And we'll go live on May 1st, so that way people that aren't in Florida can maybe get signed copies from all y'all.
Sounds great. All right, Danny, I look forward to seeing you.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks.
Peace out, homie.
Now, Chuck, you've behaved, but I still got to run the warning. We both know it. We both know the warning has to. But as soon as we come back, tell the people who you are, because you didn't get the proper intro this morning. So here we go. This is the warning, so Chuck can talk. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and/or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and/or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know why that shit is up there, but whatever, guys. Let's do this. Hey, guys, I'm Chuck Pino, Pineau. I'm a writer and editor for comics and more. I'm the co-creator and creator of such projects as Welcome to the Void, Belial, and Essence House, and I am so happy to be here today. What's going on, my dude?
Just doing the doing. Bunch of stuff to talk about today. I will say this. I am secretly having Chuck meet with Jax just so in case he ever curses at school. I'm like, that's from his Uncle Chuck. He met Uncle Chuck. I need a scapegoat. No, I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited. And May 1st, I have I can't wait to get there. I'm really excited. May 2nd, I have the second show of the year. So how exciting is that? I already have a show. We have so much to talk about. The Comic-Con highway finally beginning again. And some of you are like, what the hell is the Comic-Con highway? How crazy is that, Chuck? I did that for 3 years. We've been doing Backer Paws now for 4 years. We're getting close to the 200th episode of Backer Paws. We did the Comic-Con highway. We've done over 100 episodes of that. We stopped doing it because of this stupid...
You and I, though, we've had this conversation even about creators, where we tell them, look, even if you don't have a book out in a year, you still need to be out there talking, doing things, showing off what you have done, all that kind of stuff. Because a year being gone out of vision is huge. I've seen creators come back and it's like, dude, you're almost starting from scratch again. Like, yes, you have a fan base, but that fan base does move on. And so if you're not there, and so it's the same with something like Comic-Con Highway. If it's not around, it's not being seen. And we even see new creators come in and new things come in. And so when those things come in, it kind of makes it easier to forget that stuff. So having the Comic-Con Highway back is so cool.
Yeah, and it's, I tried to do as much as I could with it. We did a special every 3 months, but like, what do you? There's nothing going on.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, dude? No, like no one's mad at that, or even like, I don't think there's a lot of people who are like, well, here's the alternative. Not really. There wasn't one. There was no shows. What did you want?
But I think it's also crazy that we're just getting out of this now, and here we are. We're starting to see life again, and it's weird, right? I do want to say I haven't actually talked about this yet, because I wanted to talk about it here, and I'll talk about it on You're Not Alone. I received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine yesterday at 3 p.m. I did what I said I was going to do. For those who have been watching a while, I said that the minute that I would be able to get a vaccine, I would get it. I found out last Wednesday, early in the morning, that I could get a vaccine, and I got to work, and I actually had 2 appointments set up just in case one didn't go. So I did my part, got the vaccine in my arm. It's hard to say how I feel today because, unfortunately, I got a sunburn yesterday, and I have back problems. So talking about body aches or feeling a little off from a sunburn, anyone who gets sunburns know, you kind of feel a little off the next day. You feel a little dehydrated. You could even run a slight fever or just be a little tired. So, but with that said, literally, I'm talking about, well, this feels like maybe a sunburn or maybe not. So that tells you how the vaccine has been treating my body. My arm is not sore. I will say this. It hurt. Like when they put the injection in, for me at least, I'm not saying like, ow, oh my God, I'm dying. Remember, I have a back injury, so I'm used to dealing with pain, but it did hurt a little bit. Like I won't lie. And at first you're like, what I did is I did this. I did the chicken wing, and I stretched my arm out and went away. 10 minutes later, I even left the store because you're supposed to stay there, but I had to go get my lottery tickets because, I'm a comic book creator. That's how we really fund.
That's your 401k right there.
I ran out to the car. You're not supposed to, but I'm walking around the store. I got Jack's a balloon. It didn't. I'm telling you guys, it was nothing. I did the Johnson & Johnson because I just wanted to deal with it once. I did. Plus, I've had Johnson & Johnson's my whole life. Like, I had no more tear shampoo. Who am I going to put my trust in? So I'm not trying to be political here. This is why I got it, and then everyone do whatever you got to do. I would have felt horrible if I had the opportunity to not get this, then passed it, and someone died, especially someone I cared about, but anyone in general dying. If I'm going to kill someone, it's not going to be accidental. There's going to be planning and pigs. But I don't want to make that mistake. So I've gotten the shot. I hope all of you join me in getting the shot. I know some people are nervous, and they're like, well, we don't know what this is going to cause. Let me tell you, the government will never give a shot to the masses. Because remember, we're the worker ants. They need us. So when they give a shot to everyone, you're okay. It's the minute they start saying, well, this shot's just for people with goatees. Run away from a shot like that. But if they're giving it to everyone, you're fine. And the sooner we get shots, the sooner we get back on the road, right, Chuck? Or, I know Texas is opening up. You guys don't even care anymore. I thought Florida was badass. You guys are like, pfft.
Well, I don't know about badass. Well, right now, basically, I don't know. It's kind of like a 50-50 coin toss whether somebody's wearing a mask or not. Now, most places still say you need a mask to come inside, but these people, it's not like 7-Eleven has fucking bouncers, you know what I mean? So if you show up without a mask, they're just like, okay, like what am I gonna do?
In Florida, we get the you can't tell me you got a problem. Like they start getting loud, and I encountered one of those people where like someone just turned and looked at me and was like, what? And I happened to not be with Jax, and that did not end. It ended promptly and not well for them. And the Walmart employees are very pleased with me, and I'll leave it at that. I won't go into what happened. I didn't hit anyone. I'm very proud I didn't hit anyone. But like, I don't like the do not treat the reason I got involved especially was not only did the guy look at me, but he was attacking employees. Don't attack him.
Don't treat the retail. I mean,
Oh,
these people are making like minimum wage and stuff. Like, get off their ass. Come on, man.
Like, who
They're
the
just
fuck
asking for something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and they were there for you when there was no vaccine, when this was the only option that was available, and they were there on the front lines getting sick. Like, I mean, my wife had it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you guys, for 2 weeks, my wife, because my setup is at the end of the bed, so my wife would be right there. This was the closest I was getting to her. When we slept, she slept way over. We have a big king size bed. She'd sleep on one side of the bed, I'd sleep on the other. And the only time I would get to touch her is at the end of the night. I would give her foot a kiss. You know, I'd be sitting here and I'd be doing my work, and I would just grab her foot and give her a kiss, because that was the closest I could get to her.
So
because we didn't want anyone else to get it. Yeah, no foot fetish for me. And that was for 2 weeks. And my kids would come in and they would hang out, you know, down here at the end of the bed and stuff, and chat with her. And she always had the 6 feet. And that sucked. That sucked. And she didn't get paid for that time off. So yeah, man.
About that, remember, we were going to take care of the workers. None of that stuff happened. Let me tell you, the workers should have gotten the vaccine before anyone else. They should have been right after the first responders and teachers. Nope. They were once again screwed, mitigated. I made sure to get my younger sister, because she works in retail, an appointment today. She will be getting the Johnson & Johnson shot as well, because you know, anything I can do to help, I try to do. I want people to be safe. Mike says our daughter had it and didn't visit us for plus 2 weeks. Let me tell you, and Chuck knows this, and most of you know this who watch the show, I couldn't go to my mother's funeral. That is just a little bit of the cost. So when someone says I'm not taking a shot because of what, do you ever stop and think about what's in your food? You ever stop about all the shit that we're inhaling from the exhaust when we're on highways? And now this is your pause moment when you're drinking alcohol on the weekend, slowly poisoning yourself to death, vaping or doing drugs. This is the moment you put your foot down and say, I'm not putting that chemical in my body. Stop it. Take the shot so we can all go back to normal. Please.
And whatever you do, now that the Comic-Con highway is coming back up and we're going to be able to get out there, just respect the wishes of the people around you. And all that means is be open to giving them the distance. If they ask you not to touch or whatever, just, you know, don't touch. People want to sell to you. They're gonna find a way around it. So just be respectful to those simple wishes, and everything should go pretty well. You know, I mean, hey, if you don't want to wear a mask, there's the vaccine. And if you don't want to do either, you're definitely gonna have to give your distance. You're gonna have to do something, because a lot of people, it matters, especially for those of us. You got to understand, at a convention, I mean, con crud is a thing. It has a term. Every time we went to a show pre-COVID, I had this big, huge, ugly purple suitcase that I brought with me everywhere. And a big part of that was a huge thing of hand sanitizer and Kleenex and all that kind of stuff. And that was as much for me as it was for anybody else there. I cleaned myself after every person who I shook hands with, all that kind of stuff, because people would show up sick, you know, and not just even them, those of us were paying $200-300 even up for a table. We're probably going to show up sick too. So because we have so much money invested in it. So guys, this was a thing before. It's still a thing now. Just respect the distance and do what you got to do. And it's going to be great for everybody. That's all we want, is for everyone to enjoy themselves.
Now, I will be wearing this at every show.
I can barely. Oh, is that the plastic one?
Yeah, it's the.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like a mask inside there that I couldn't see because of glare.
You do that. It's just in a bag still, so I haven't started using this one. However, if they ask me to, even despite having the Johnson & Johnson thing, I've got the proof now. I actually put it in my phone so I can show everyone. I will honor if they say, hey, could you also put on a mask? Don't care. Sure. It's about the comfort. It's about making people feel safe. It's about, just making sure that we get through this last bit of it together. Like let's just do that, because look at all the shows that are coming back. Do you have anything planned besides May 1st, Chuck, so far?
Yeah, I do. I don't know all the dates, but right now I have that. I have Harley Slavic and I are planning something. We're gonna try to get together, and I'm gonna go over to his store and sign a bunch of stuff, and probably bring some of my books as well. Yeah, Henri is at a con right now. We haven't heard. It's weird. So at the end of May, Comic Palooza is supposed to be happening, but they've been very quiet. So we're still not sure if it's happening or not.
It is. I got an email from them. They want to know if I want to do a panel. They're planning to go.
No, you do, but it's I'll be running the panel.
I'm putting it back. I'm putting in the paperwork. Yeah,
yeah. No, I'll run a panel. Yeah, you're damn right.
I just got that email just this weekend, so that's literally on my list now to start going through and doing panels. You'll see everything I have lined up. So Comic Palooza, you're going to be at Makes. I know that's a big one for you.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the biggest. Comic Palooza. In September we're doing Dallas Fan Expo, which is the biggest, and then October I think it is. We're also doing Big Texas Comic-Con here in San Antonio, but there will be a lot where I'm going to be like, oh, is this happening? Yeah, okay, I'll be jumping on at the last second.
You're gonna yeah. So right about that. This is going to be a year of pivots, and the summer's looking.
Yeah.
I already have a conflict. I already have 3 conflicts, to be honest with you. And sometimes a conflict's even doing back-to-back shows. The one thing I learned doing so many shows over the years, sometimes when they're too close and in driving distance, one show kills the other. And you have to pick the one that you think is going to be best for you, especially. Specs Thomas says the selfie sticks are going to be coming back in style. I would not doubt that. I think it's going to be weird, but I think the fans are going to come running back. I've been to 2 events so far. People want this. People want to get back. And now that the vaccines, I think we're at 160 million people vaccinated, maybe 170. We're getting there, guys. By May, June, we could be looking at 80% of the population being vaccinated. So these are going to happen. That's why I think the Texas one will happen. I'm surprised there aren't a lot more in actually June and July. I'm still shocked San Diego gave it up so quick. But they have announced new dates. So for me, I'm gonna announce for the first time here. I'm sorry Meredith isn't here. She's dealing with some unfortunate weather. For anyone who watched WrestleMania, you know that Tampa's having some trouble. Actually, there was actually a rain delay for WrestleMania. First time ever wrestling has had a rain delay.
How weird is that?
Well, it was thunderstorms. You're not allowed to do any sports in Florida if there's a thunderstorm in the area. It's actually a state law, and even McMahon can't beat a state law.
Yeah, right.
Here we go.
Not yet.
Not yet. Give him time. This is, of course, from Tom. Tom has the Home Brick Show next week, but he also has an amazing list right here. If you're in Florida, this is definitely a resource you're going to want to check out. There's an events archive for Florida Comic-Cons. We're going to talk about the convention scene as well. We'll look at that. This is we kind of played with the convention scene, and now all the shows in April. Where if you're a creator and you have a show, tell me. Until we get something really start going, we're going to be in one thread constantly, just until everything starts. We'll do the forecast maps as needed. We're not going to do it for just one event because honestly, it's just a waste of time for me. But May 1st, May starts off real good. Right away, new location, grand opening. This is the Collective. It's happening Saturday, May 1st. Can't wait.
So many creators showing up for that.
Yeah, so awesome. Going to be there. Then the next day, actually, which I don't have here, I'm going to be at, and I'm surprised I don't have it here because I swear to you I uploaded it last night. We're going to be going to the Fort Myers. Let me see if I can call it up real quick. A local show here, Fort Myers Spacecon, I think it is the name of it. Let's see, Fort Myers. I hate when you can't find the things you need right away on Facebook. Let's see, Fort Myers Comic-Con. Either way, it's in Fort Myers. It's a very local show. I would not suggest to anyone necessarily. Here it is. 14 terrific Southwest Florida shows that you're going to be at. There you go. This is going to be at Fort Myers. It's a very small little show. Don't travel for it, but it's exciting that we get to go to a show. Then right after that, same month, at the end of the month, May, we get to go to Suncoast Comic-Con. This is going to be an exciting one. I'm pretty excited about it. Oh man, Meredith just showed me a picture. Tampa's getting rocked with storms today. It's the first time it's rained in Florida, literally in a month. So of course today is going to be a rough one. But check this out, dude. This is awesome. The first 2-day event I'm going to be at since 2020, early 20, like over a year ago. Everything I've done has been 1 day so far, so I'm pretty excited about that. Then we go into June. June, I don't think we have anything yet, but July we have Galaxycon, which we're going to be doing right there. And then, Central Florida Comic-Con. Where's Central Florida Comic-Con? Like, I am sleeping on the ball right now. So Central Florida Comic-Con, that's another one that we're going to be doing. So let's see, CFCC, Central Florida Comic-Con. We just signed up for this. That's going to be going on, let's see, I believe, crap. There it is, June 12th and the 13th. I knew I had something in June. So June 12th and the 13th, we will be at Central Florida Comic-Con. I'll be there. I think Meredith's coming to that one too. So you guys will be able to meet Meredith and you'll be able to hang out. And then in July, I'll be at Galaxycon. Can't wait. You know Raleigh. I love Raleigh, Chuck. That's one of the ones I always brag about. At the same time, Continuum Comics will be at Tampa Bay. We haven't figured out all the logistics of how we're going to be in 2 places at once, but we're going to be. Same as when in Texas, I'll be doing a panel apparently with Chuck, and we'll see if I can call in. We'll see. I don't know how panels are yet. That's going to be the weird thing. I'll be figuring that out, but I'm damn sure going to try to get a panel at MegaCon in Orlando. That'll be August 12th through the 15th. You know MegaCon, and you know how much I can't wait to get there. Huge, huge news. Some of it's sad here. Heroes Con is not happening. And how many cons have you heard canceled near you, Chuck?
Well, I know that Greater Austin Comic-Con canceled. That was one of the few. Most of them are just throwing themselves into the end of the year and just kind of going like this, which is basically what they all did last year. So, most of them are still kind of going on. They're just, going, okay, you know what? We're going to aim for the end of the year. We feel good about this. So, not as much. Though again, we're the state that doesn't have the mask mandate. We're the state that basically kind of said, "Hey, do what you want. Just try to be nice." Okay.
Yeah, just to respect each other. Don't shoot anyone over it. That's it.
Right.
But here it is, New York Comic-Con. It's being planned. It's gone to planning stages, which means someone has filled out a permit because this was covered also on New York One. So I'm optimistic and excited. I'm not Charlie Brown yet. I'm not trying to aim for the football. This has happened last year. We thought we were going to get New York Comic-Con, and we didn't. But I think we're going to get New York Comic-Con. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if you'll see that New York Comic-Con. I don't know if there's going to be social distancing. I know the governor. I don't even know who the governor will be at that point, to be honest with you. If anyone's following the news, they might have a new governor by then. But I don't know if the governor will allow that type of stuff or the mayor. The way it was, I hope, please take your damn vaccines. Every one of you taking the vaccines quicker gets us quicker to that finish line. And the great pause will be done, and then we'll have the restart. Look, do it. Get a shot in your arm. Shut up and do it so we can get back to cons, people. Or at least 80% of you. I think once we're at 80%, they'll let us do anything we want. I'm pretty excited about that. San Diego Comic-Con will be back in November. But they're being very clear this isn't going to be San Diego Comic-Con. This is going to be like a more boutique version of it. They're trying to aim for local creators. It's going to be Thanksgiving weekend. That's going to be, hit or miss. Would you do a show? I did one show, and they paid for the table, but not for the flight. It was the worst show I had ever done that I traveled for an air flight. I did not make my money back. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I don't think I'd ever do a show Thanksgiving weekend again. Would you do a show? Not local. I mean, local, yeah, whatever. I'm talking travel. Would you travel for a show on Thanksgiving weekend?
Again, they would have to make it worth my while. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go totally out of pocket and stuff. But if they I don't know, paid for my travel and so all I'm really paying for is like meals and stuff, I would do it just to give it a try and see how it goes. But you can only fool me once. You know what I mean? Like I'll try it the once and see. But if it didn't pan out, then I'd be like, well, you know what, guys, you know, I appreciate what you did, but it didn't work out last year. Why would it work out this year?
Specs
Thompson.
Oh, sorry, Thompson. South Carolina has 2 cons. I'm trying to look. I have down here
Tell us which shows they are, bud.
Yeah, please.
You'll know better than us.
I was trying to scroll through the convention scene, and I don't know. Let's get some love. Let's get this started right now. Oh, wow. What is happening right now? I know there was one on Saturday somewhere, and I'm starting to pay attention now. So please, guys, if you're doing an event, send me an email, Comics Newswire, COMIX, newswire@yahoo.com. Let's start talking about these things. Yeah. Speaking of the resources, we're not doing Great-A-Con the rest of the year. I want to announce that now. This was something we started in early 2020. You all know how that turned out. We're not going to grade any cons this year because every con is going to be dealing with a lot to do it. I don't think this is a fair year to do any grade. This will return in 2022. This will not be done this year. We're out of respect for everyone's just going to do the best they can this year. And we're all going to have to understand that. It's going to be new. It's going to be different. Let's see it. All right, so convention scene. Let's see what we don't know what's going on. We're going to go to our partner. We've been partnering with them for now 3 years to bring you guys all this stuff. So let's see. Ohio has something. This is, dude, I want to cry right now. I'm not even kidding to see that there are conventions happening right now. Like we have a year, Chuck. We have been doing this. We've been doing these shows, waiting for this moment. Here it is. There are things started. And it's only going to get bigger and busier, and I can't wait, man. But here we go. Canton, have you ever heard of the Canton show?
No.
I can't believe they're letting a Long Island show go on. That's good news right there. Over in New York.
Yep.
Savannah Comic-Con, that's going to be happening next weekend. I did Savannah. It was not a bad show. I probably knew it was happening, but didn't want to take the risk of money out. Because a lot of creators, and I know creators are feeling this, you don't want to pay for a table and then have it and keep the money. That happened to a lot of us in 2020. They kept our table money and said, we'll see you next year. And I know 4 conventions that have folded since then, and no one's getting their money back.
No way.
Yeah, so I know a lot of creators are like, let me just see. And I do think that with Chuck's method of last-minute tabling is going to be happening a lot. Please don't ask for discounts for tables unless you don't think the show is going to make the money. Like, try to be fair about it, because these promoters are also, some of them are in some trouble this year. So let's get them back out of trouble so we can see the shows. I know certain shows going away is a good thing, but not all of them. Let's not punish people. Savannah Comic-Con, that's going to be happening at the Savannah International Trade and Convention Show. That's a 2-day event. I'm trying to see if any of these are 3-day events, too. California, I don't know. Do you think California will let the Burbank Comic-Con show go? They cancel everything lately.
I don't. It really would depend on the size of it. Those comic and toy expos usually aren't the bigger shows, and it's a one day. So yeah, it really depends. But here's your first 3-day Boston Comics in Color Festival.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. If that's, let's take a quick look and see, because that's so close. Let's see if they've canceled. Does not look like they got Renford Reed. It looks like it's going to be happening. So that'll be the first 3-day show, as far as I'm aware, since early 2020.
Oh, TJ Sterling is there. Okay.
Yeah, so this looks really cool. So Boston's going to beat Florida to a 3-day show. I bet no one would have picked that. I bet we should have done like some behind the scenes betting on this. He was gonna do it, like gambling on that. I mean, no gambling, no racketeering here. I'm sorry. No, don't pay attention to me. Let's see.
Calgary has a 4-day.
I saw that.
That's another bet we would have lost. Calgary? All right, good for you.
Canada beating us to it, and this one looks like it's like legit, and it's called itself an expo. You know, expos are serious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, wait. They changed their dates. Convention scene. That's why I'm also popping these up. Looks like they moved to July, and it went from a 4-day to a 3-day.
Oh, yeah, see? That's funny.
But they say it's still 4 days. I'm so confused. Oh, no, July has 31 days. That would be a 4-day show. So it has moved. And these things are moving so quickly that convention scene, which does an amazing job generally, can't keep up with all the changes because they are making them quickly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're going to look today and take a little extra time with you guys. Oh, our convention scene went away. Let's reopen convention scene real quick. You hear Jackson in the background being loud. Tidewater Comic-Con's just canceled. The local Fort Myers one canceled. The other one that normally would happen during the summer. Comics and More is going to happen in Maryland. Fan Expo, let's take a look.
No, Fan Expo is in September.
I was going to say that one's in September now, right? Okay, yeah. So they need to update that one. Puerto Rico.
But I have my table for that one, guys. So if you are going to Dallas, there's going to be a bunch of people there. I know Mog Park is also going to be there with me. Douglas Brown is going to be there with me. Fan Expo is going to be a big one. Pop that one off.
I don't know what's going on with this one, Puerto Rico Comic-Con, because they're not listing a date right now, and I'm sure that has something to do with everything that's going on. I mean, they literally had a volcano just explode over there. So Puerto Rico's not having the best time ever. Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat. Pensacon is looking to happen. That will be a 3-day show in Florida. So Florida does have a 3-day show. I debated it. It's Panhandle, and Panhandle is very religious, Chuck. I don't know how well I do it in Panhandle. I don't think it's my area.
Well, but you could do it without Barbara. You have so many other books that.
Yeah, it's weird. Plus, I think it's for it's more of an area for uptight preacher types, if you know what I mean, Chuck.
Oh, I know some people who could go there.
Yeah. People, it's definitely more of a stuck-up area, in my opinion. But I mean, not Pensacon. I've heard great things about Pensacon. I just don't know if it's going to be local or not. I just don't know this year.
Everybody's driving hybrids up there.
Yeah, definitely that type of situation going on up there. So I don't know if I'm really the type, because you have to look at the demographics. Am I going to fit in if this is a religious area? You know, if this is where because that's part of the Bible Belt type of area. And I didn't realize that till they did a show there a couple of years ago. And I literally got horrible. But you're right. I could take Barbara out. We still have the Advocator, which the Advocator is great for that. The Continuum will pass, as they'd have to open the book to really get insulted. And there's not even enough in there to really get too insulting. So I have the Continuum by that. But you have to look at that. Where do you have a demographic? Do you look at certain areas like I would never go there because of what I create? Because you do have like Belial's not going to go over the Bible Belt.
Well, so it's funny. In Texas, it is kind of a Bible Belt thing, but actually a lot of those people just don't go to the cons anyway, so it's not such a big deal. Yeah. But like I did this one show, and it was a small show in a town called, screw it, I'm going to say it, in a town called Belton. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go, and I'm so excited. This was a small military town. And so the budgets of people were not very well, and so I didn't do really well there because most people the kids wanted anime and the parents wanted stuff that they already knew. So those of us who were indie and weren't really well known, we really kind of like lost out. And so I did not do very well there. So yeah, man, I do kind of look around and go, hey, it tends to more be financial. Can these people afford it? Can they are they more willing to look at something independent and whatnot? So yeah, like I love to go to a city like Austin or a city like Houston because they're a little more progressive. They're a little more excited to see new things.
And mind you, I'm not trying to pick on anyone. Like I'm really not. I'm just saying religious people and me seem to not get along well, especially with the things I create.
Well, and it's not your audience. Like that's all we're ever doing is we're just going, hey, is this my audience? Is this for me? Or, you know, are these people my people? And if they're not, that's okay. You're not saying, oh, these people suck. You're just saying, oh, these people are not buying my stuff. So why am I going there?
Yeah, Mike's hoping to get a book out by then. How awesome is that? And I do think that I missed something, and I got to run because Jax is calling me real quick. But if you want to read this message, I thought this was a really cool one, Mike, Chuck, that Mike had sent us. Can you read that? I got to go see it.
Yeah, of course I can. I've been having dreams of making the credit page for my book, and thankfully I have an editor, and Rob will look at my book. And yeah, man, so we're working on a book together. I am Mike's editor, and we've got this really great book. It's a lot of fun. It's called Brink and Fetch. Brink and Fetch is the main title of the book. Actually, I believe it's Brink and Fetch Just Want to Have Fun. I didn't want to say it because it was a longer name and I didn't want to screw it up. But yeah, Brink and Fetch Just Want to Have Fun. Very much fun, kind of supernatural style book. Think supernatural, but sexy females.
I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out when it gets sent to me. So that's exciting. This is why the Comic-Con Highway is so exciting. We get to show our books off. People, I was saying this on a different video the other day, that, forget everything else. It's when a person asks me another question about the book, that's when I melt. That, like when there's one thing to say, I love your book. It's another to go, can you tell me more about the character doing this? Why do they choose that? And you're like, oh, you get me.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get back to do that.
Or you care enough to get me.
Yeah. Three Rivers. I've been to Three Rivers. That's a great local Pennsylvania show if you're going to do it. Alabama Comic-Con looks like it's on track. Niagara Falls. That's going to be in Canada. Eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's talking about.
It looks like the Washington State Summer Comic-Con. I would almost bet that they're. Oh, no, it's still happening. I would have lost my bet. It didn't look like defiantly. It's still happening, June 18th to the 20th. So good for them. They're pushing through, and I hope to see people keep doing that. Another fan expo in Knoxville, and then look how busy it starts getting. This is what we were talking about. Look at the back-to-back on top. Pop IndieCon in Indianapolis, Plasticon. It seems like a lot of the smaller shows aren't coming back. Like, you're not seeing, like, the littler ones that just don't. I guess they don't. They could pop up, though. Those smaller ones have the ability that they can put it together in weeks. So I wouldn't necessarily write any of this in stone. I expect to see a lot more coming out because they're going to see these bigger shows. And once these bigger shows are back up, here we go. Atlanta Comic-Con, I've done that one. That's a pretty good one. Of course, that's where DragonCon is. DragonCon has not said if they're having it or not having it at this point, as a matter of fact. Let's see if we can look up DragonCon and see if DragonCon has released any information. All we know is that there's not going to be a parade this year. I believe that the city had said so far it won't be happening. So they're listed this the 2nd through the 6th. Do you think a DragonCon is going to go on if New York Comic Con's planning to?
I think they're going to try to find a way, certainly.
I think that's what it is. A lot of people right now are just trying to figure out how they can do it.
Yep.
There's a con in August here in Arkansas. That's good news. Omni in the house. Oh, James is here. Good afternoon.
Oh, cool. What's up, James?
He says, I'll be at Three Rivers. Oh, very, very cool. It's a 2-day show, and I think it will be a fun time. Look, once I start traveling, here's another reason I got a vaccine, and this is just for you guys. They're talking about literally limiting people traveling if you don't have your shot. If you're a comic book creator and you're on the fence, being limited to your local events is all you really need. Get your vaccine. Just for that reason. Be able to go to any show you want to go to this year. Portland. So let me ask you a question. And then I think we're going to just take out. We're almost at 90 minutes, believe it or not. That went by fast. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, Chuck, as we wrap up, we'll do a couple more comments. Do you see a lot of these shows are moving towards the fall and winter? Could you see yourself moving there? And while we do that, I'm going to take my temperature to show you guys that I'm still alive. See? Green. So I'm good. See? I want you guys to see through my experience that, hey, I did the Johnson & Johnson for the record. But go ahead, Chuck. Would you travel in the winter months? I'll be honest, with my back and all that, I've done C2E2 in the April. Oh, man. It messed my back up. We played the warning. I can say it. We fucked it up for a couple days being in that cold weather again. Even when it gets snap down here. I don't know. Snow, ice, sleet, like some of these areas, like they're trying to like December shows. I'm not competing with Christmas. You know, I'm like a groundhog in December. I don't do a lot of shows, and I've tried, and it never works. You lose money at the end of the year because no one's buying comics unless you're doing comic book shows at like signings at stores. Those are lucrative. What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, I would have to feel those out too because I've heard similar stories. But what about, because the winter is not just December. What about early in the year? You're talking January, February, March, you know?
A lot of them don't go in the north. So we'll have to see this year because now they're all coming back. There's one in New York that happens, and it's like Big Apple happens around February, but there's like a New Jersey one. It's a giant one. In 2 years, they've already gotten snow problems. I think it's like the Meadowlands Expo or something like that. Arrow star Stephen Amell actually was out pushing cars and stuff in the snow and helping people out. They made a good time of it and had some fun, and they even rescheduled it. It was so bad. James says, well, since I'm up here in the north, so we are accustomed to the cold. Well, for me, it's just my back. It locks my back up because I have nerve damage. It just this would be me at the show. Fuck you, want. Fuck you.
Well, and the thing is that it's not even like we have to carry our carts and all of our stuff through this. Like it's a lot of work, man.
Driving, like you're now risking driving through snowstorms and stuff. Even flights can be delayed. Like, I mean, it's just you're asking for trouble. And for me, and that remember, I'm in Florida, so like there'll be warmer shows down here in the south.
Exactly.
I can like, and you're in Texas, so. You guys see, I mean, I know you froze last year and it was a huge deal, but you generally don't see a lot of that.
Well, yeah, and that was for like 6 days or something. So,
yeah. So, I mean,
yeah, it's not really a thing that again, the whole reason why it was so brutal is because it's not a thing that happens to us normally. So it's not something we even think about, even though it just happened. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably do what a lot of us Southern people do, and that is stay south. You know what I mean? Like, basically, you can go all along the south, maybe do some Arizona, New Mexico, maybe go up to Oklahoma or Arkansas, and then, across, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, stuff like that. So, yeah, man, we have options.
I would never do a Mississippi show, I'll be honest. I don't think I'm allowed in Mississippi with Barbara, and I just think the fact that there is that I have Barbara, I think I'd be arrested. I have a bad feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's because I watched Mississippi Burning as a kid and I'm scorched for life. But no, I don't think I'll be doing. Not unless I fly in, have security walk me somewhere and security out. Nothing against you, Mississippi. I have a tendency to have books that might offend the very religious.
It's a drive for me. So yeah, man. If I was gonna do it, it'd have to feel like it was worth it.
SuperCon we also have here in Florida. We don't know when that's going to be. Talk is late summer. There's a lot going on. MegaCon and Tampa Bay are literally a week apart, and I feel horrible for Tampa because Tampa's a good show. But, I mean, Tampa's a pain in the ass to park. It's a pain in the ass to be in that area. It's so closed off and small. I usually love going to it. I would go to it, but I'm not heading towards Raleigh. But I definitely think that's going to affect the show. And I think we're going to see this on top of each other events are going to hurt a lot of shows out of the gate. But the good news is I think people are going to be so happy to be out of the house that they're just going to run and do these shows. I think that you're going to see people buying tickets, being excited, spending some stimulus money for those who aren't living outside in tents. And that's not a dig on anyone because we are having a real eviction crisis in America right now. And it's getting bad. It's a tale of two worlds. I really hope the government steps in and helps those people out. It's been a hard year, and I want to get back out there. I want to see smiling faces. I really hope that shows try to keep in mind it's been a hard year and try not to have too high of tickets. I've seen table prices already raise up. Talk is that's insurance because of the pandemic and all that stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. But tables that were 120 or 125 are now 150, 175. It's going to be a complicated year. I'll put it that way.
I have to say, and this is just me stepping on my soapbox, but I have to say personally, making creators have to pay that insurance is not cool. And the reason I'll say that is we're already gambling.
Mm-hmm.
We're already gambling at the price that we're doing. Are we going to be able to make that money back? Are you going to have the number of people that sustains that? I know that during the pandemic, there were still some shows that happened, and there was one up in northern Texas that people were trying to get me to go to, and it was like a 2-day thing or something, and I was like, man, not only are the prices the same for a table, but you're limiting it to half the people, and there's still the same number of tables. So to me, it was like they weren't raising the prices on tables, but they might as well have. Because what you were saying is we're going to have the same number of tables that we always do. We're going to have the same size venue. We're going to do all the same stuff. Oh, yeah, except we're letting in half the number of people. And you're like, so effectively, it would be like doubling the number of tables because I have double the because I have all that competition because it's half the people.
And these are real things.
Yeah, we have to consider that stuff when we do shows. So and you know, a lot of people are desperate right now, but they'll be desperate on your first show, but they'll also remember how you treated them next year. Next year when there's a lot of shows, and they'll go, "Oh, this show stood up for me. That show did not. I'm going to this one." And so, you know, just remember that.
And you know, I'm a usual vocal person about these things, but I'm trying to tread very carefully this year, simply because I know everyone's had it hard. I want to start seeing it. I'll call out. Let me tell you, if there's price gouging, you'll see me talking about it on the show. I'll come out. I'll talk about it. You see creators not being treated well, you'll see me talking about it. I'll stand up for creators as I always have. I am glad to see coming out of this, though, comic book shops and creators working better together. That's one giant win. Like the indie creators are being taken more seriously by comic book shops across the nation because they saw we didn't stop. We were still going. We were still finding a way to make money. Kickstarter was set records. Indiegogo, you're still waiting for books. But, I mean, Dog Days, it still hasn't come out in Kickstarter. Marcel, we haven't forgotten about you. Still on the milk crate because you're still running from us. Dog Days, where's my Dog Days? So it's still happening. We're still having different shows. But, I mean, you're seeing that these creators are being taken serious by comic book stores. And that's also because some of the comic book stores that survived realized how important having indie creators teaming up with them really was. So I hope that trend continues. We're seeing diamonds going away, some people are saying, and I don't know. It may be. This might be the end of Diamond as we know it, which wouldn't be good. A lot of indie creators still using diamonds. So that's actually a bad, good thing. It's a messed up world. The reason I'm bringing all this up is not to bring you down. I'm saying be patient. Don't run out there like Chicken Little. Don't start fights. Don't be, oh, this is the only way. No, we're not Mandalorians. Comic book creators have to pivot. Read your history in comics. It's always about pivoting. It's always about changing. You got to get an injection in the arm to go back to doing Comic-Cons. Get your injection. You know, like, let's get past this moment, guys. Speaking of pivoting, really quickly, I wish Meredith were here. Meredith is dealing with horrible weather. And I wish Celie, not Celie, I'm sorry, C. Michael Lanning to feel better. He's feeling under the weather. And I thank Chuck for being here because this would have been me talking for the last hour because he was supposed to be here with other people. This is our third to last show until a summer hiatus. And Chuck knows this. And I told Chuck he could be on any one of these as we're going. I definitely wanted him on this because we wanted to talk about restarting. Because he's understood, he's covered the highway with Comics Newswire. He's seen everything. Like he's been in the trenches and seen these effects. And I knew he would bring his insight. So this would be a great show. We have 2 shows left now. Until that, the next one we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the future, and how we have learned from the pandemic. What skills have you learned? How are you going to do that? What are you going to be doing? How have you changed? I want to invite everyone next week on Sunday. Open mic. Come in and talk to us how the pandemic, and I've been using that word because it's just where we are right now. I know it might hurt our views, but I don't care. We're going to be talking about the pandemic and what you learned. I learned a lot during the pandemic. I learned how to flat. I hate flatting, by the way, but I learned how to do it. I learned how to fully color. I hate that too. I won't be doing it, but learning those skills mattered. I learned more about editing. I learned a whole bunch about comic book history. Join me next week as we talk about all the things you learned. I hope Chuck can jump in, because I know he learned a whole bunch with editing as well. And that's so important, because I was seeing the things he was sharing and reading that stuff. I was absorbing as much as I could. Then our last show, the last Sunday of April, right before I get to see Chuck, because we'll be going live that weekend. There will be no Savannah Comics Brunch in May going forward. We'll come back in the fall. The reason we're doing this is so we can get back on the road, by the way, so we can do Comic-Cons. These videos were supposed to distract us all and give you something while we couldn't be at conventions. It's time to go out and enjoy yourselves. This is the moment to celebrate. Our show ending until the fall, because let's be honest, this is a fall-winter show. Wouldn't you agree, Chuck? It's like when you're stuck inside a little bit more. Summer's coming. Let's go out and enjoy the summer together. So the last week, we're going to talk about where we'll be when we get back in September. Our optimistic hopes, how the summer will look like. You will still see me in Backer Paws. I'll occasionally be on the week-ended show, but that's going to be it. I'll do a Freaky Friday every so often. But I'm stepping away from all these online videos to give you guys the running room to go out there and enjoy life. I hope we see a trend where a lot of people stop doing shows just to do shows, and I hope we see it go back to content related. I'm going to pass it to Chuck right now. What he does with Chuck's Shop Talk, I really like the Buddy Scalera interview that he just recently did. He's done some solid interviews. You weren't here when Danny had said it. Danny says, I ask questions and I step out of the way. Chuck does that as an interviewer. In the last year, we had a lot of people trying to play interviewer, and I know Chuck feels the same way, and he's going to explain it. People spent more time in their interviews talking about themselves than the people they were interviewing.
Oh, yeah.
So, Chuck, why does the Chuck Shop Talk matter? What is the idea behind it, and how can they follow along with it?
Dude, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, you know what? I saw a trend during all of this, because there was so much live stuff happening, where there was kind of two things. First off, people were having these shows, but it ended up being more of an ego show, where it was about them having fun and having a good time rather than the guests being able to show off their stuff. But then also we had these shows where it was just like, what are you selling? What are you selling? What are you selling? And it was just like, I felt like, guys, we're in the middle of a time period where, yes, selling is important and having a good time is important, but learning is important too, and no one was learning a damn thing. So I did an interview show where it's all about learning. It's called "What's Going On, Little Buddy? How you doing?"
Yeah.
Good to see you, Jax. I did a show that's all about it's called Chuck's Shop Talk, and that's what we do. We talk about that person's processes, what they do, how they do what they do. We got to talk to all sorts of different types of people. I got to talk to a Hollywood stuntman. I got to talk to editors, writers, letterers, colorists, everybody. And I'm still keeping it, promoters, store owners. We had Danny Morales on there. We had so many people. What is this? What do you got there? That is cool.
Shax has gotten huge into Legos, so.
Oh, that's great, dude. That looks so cool.
Dad.
You're gonna see Chuck in May.
We're gonna have a blast, buddy.
Yeah, but that's an amazing show that you're putting together, and
Thank you.
Really one of those things. And you know that as I don't mind doing interviews. I'm just not a huge, and we've talked about this behind the scenes. We get ghosted by so many interviews you try to set up that I really appreciate the higher caliber of the creators you're getting on there, and the thing. And it's not that we don't want to help the other creators. It's like there's kind of a professionalism that you want on these shows, and you get people who show up and they're eating during the show. And it's not like the Sunday Comics Brunch where we're hanging out and it's just a hangout show, but like during an interview, when I go to an interview, I have a tie on, I'm all respectful, you're ready to go. You don't blame anything. You don't talk about I'm not in a good mood. You shut up and you get live. Because that's what professionals do. You think Robert Downey Jr. wants to be at every interview he's ever been part of?
Right.
Like, you don't get to pick these moments.
Well, and I try to make it both professional and fun. So, we will this Tuesday, actually, I'm very excited. I have Travis on my show, Travis Gibb, and he and I will sit down and we'll probably have a beer together. But it won't be one of those sloppy, like, we're not going to be doing shots or anything stupid like that. It'll be two creators sitting down, having a beer together, talking about our processes and how we feel about different formats and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because a lot of these guests will come to me and they'll say, "What are we going to be talking about?" I'm like, "Well, we're going to start talking about this, but that's up to the fans and their questions." And they're like, "Is there really that much questions?" Yeah, there really is, and they will very much determine where we go. And often we end up moving on to different tangents and talking about different things because that's what the fans get. We get a good chunk of people who are excited and want to learn, and they get focused on that, and that's where we end up. So I can only ever determine where we're going to start. I never know where we're going to finish, but it's always fun. We've had so many terrific guests, and I'm just glad to be doing it. It's a nice once a week thing. It actually, especially in this time where I didn't know the weekend and the weekdays and all that, it had me focused on one day of the week. So I always knew where Tuesday was, because I could see it looming. I have this interview coming up. I have to focus on this person. I have to do my research and learn a little bit more about them and get into their heads. So, yeah.
I will say this. There is a lot of shows out there that are doing good stuff. Chuck's show, Danny's show. And there are a lot of shows that are noise. I think we're seeing out a lot of them kind of fall into the wayside. And I think that you guys, as the fans watching, you need to be involved. Like, we had a lot of comments we didn't even get to talk about today. Thank you for all the comments you guys have made. Mike, especially, for being here today. We were talking about WrestleMania the whole night last night through Messenger. We want interaction. Support who you want to support. But shows like Chuck and Danny, that's kind of what we want to see a return to. Shows that focus on creation and creators. The hangout shows, I honestly, I'm okay with watching a lot of them go away now, because now we can go out and hang out with each other live and be there live.
Right.
There's nothing like being with your friends in live situations. We're very, very lucky that we got to connect so much online, but there was nothing. Like you said, most of them became sell shows. It became infomercials. I'm so glad to see the return of Comic-Cons, because it's where you sell your books. And we've learned so much about ourselves. Thank you all for who turned in. Thank you everyone who put out content to distract people over the last year. As we're starting to unpause, there are a lot of people who stepped up and became heroes to their smaller communities. And that is awesome. I appreciate Chuck's one of those people. You had Indie Volt. You have Pops. I think Pops just popped in, actually. Pops says, "Hey, yo." Pops did that CromCon thing, merited like a lot of the Geek Insider stuff. Credit to Chuck, who returned to do another year of the awards. So that was a huge action. And then we did that with Varian and Meredith over Geek Insider and Indie Volt. Comic Book School putting out their PDF. Mike Morales, Danny Morales, for all he's done with the collective. There's just a long list of heroes that we have seen step up. But let's get back to the real world now, right? Let's start going to shows and streaming live from shows. I would rather stream live from any show for 10 minutes on a Sunday than be here for an hour and a half. And that's nothing against the people I hang out with for an hour and a half. It's the fact that we'll be back at shows, and soon we'll be bitching about them and how poorly run they are and how expensive the hot dogs are and hamburgers are. The pause is finally beginning to shake loose, and the restart has begun. Any final thoughts, Chuck?
Guys, keep doing what you do, man. I mean, keep loving what you love. Keep making what you make, and just get out there and do it, whatever it is. I mean, this is our chance to get back out there. You either learned a bunch of stuff, or some of us did just kind of hibernate. But either way, this is your chance. Go safe, but go out there and live again.
James actually has a show that he's been doing, Hooligans Alley. Really
Yeah.
cool. He sits down, talks with creators. Check out James Sims. He's actually a really good content creator as well with his book that he has out now. And Mike James says, learned several things from listening to Chuck on shows about developing the story and writing comic style. I don't think I've ever learned anything from Chuck. No, I'm kidding. Chuck and me always, I think, challenging each other with the things that we come up with. And, you know, Cat Dad and Supermom wouldn't be what it was without him. And Pops, you get the last comment. We'll be doing this as long as creators want to be in the show. They will decide when I'm done. And that I'm sure you're going to have a lot of problems with those cons. The minute more cons are coming up, Pops, that'll be your big problem. As we're going to shows, you'll have to just navigate, I think, a little bit. Don't go live on the if you want to keep doing your virtual showcase, just don't do it on the weekends where New York Comic-Con is. Because you're no one's going to watch your show over, because especially they're going virtual now. We didn't talk about that a lot today, but these bigger shows are now going to be virtual too. And just for you, Pops, and the people you're bringing on, never compete. Like the people who went live during DC Nations thing, that was the DC, what was it, Metaverse they were doing? Yeah. That was such a bad call. No one watched their stuff. Just stay clear of the bigger shows. Pay attention. Schedule outside of going live during that. What were you going to say, Chuck?
No, I was actually going to jump on and say very much the same stuff. Yeah,
just be very careful about that. Just because, and I know, Pops, you don't want to waste your time, and I know you don't want to waste any creators' times. It's going to be a different world now. As these bigger shows, they've learned they can make money online. Once you learn these bigger shows, once they learn they could make money, trust that they're going to try to continue to make that money. So they're going to be doing online. I don't think it'll last more than a year. I think a lot of it will go away. And I think what they'll do is they'll do special pop-up events outside of their show. So they'll have their show that month, and then like 6 months later, they'll have like a virtual event, if that makes sense.
This is where you and I disagree.
You think it'll stay?
No, what I believe is that they will, most of these, especially bigger shows, will probably end up having a digital aspect that goes on with it for those people who want to be a part of it, especially with the fact that there's so many like con exclusive covers for books and all that kind of stuff. People are going to want to try to be a part of that. And so being able to do that digitally, it's like, oh, I can't afford to go to New York because I live in Sacramento or wherever. Instead, I will watch from afar and I will get the goodies that I can. So I actually would not be surprised if the digital aspect of these shows stayed. I'm not saying that they're going to be a massive part of it, but I do believe that it will probably be a part of the shows moving forward and continue on. I believe this is part of the evolution of Comic Cons.
And hey, man, there's no doubting that things have changed. When we're going back, this is our version of the blip. If you actually think about it, not as entangled, maybe not as complicated, but yeah, we just went through a bit of a blip ourselves. And it's going to be weird. There's going to be a lot of pivoting. People are, and I know this from across the board because I've talked to other people, viewership's down across all these videos. Why? Because people are going out again. The captive audience has been unleashed. Has been unleashed onto the world. So with that, I'm going to unleash you guys for today. Go out there. Enjoy yourselves. Pops says, and I'll give Pops the last thing, just because Pops, this is on him. Send the hate mail to this. He said the dumbasses should have been doing it all along. The thing was, Pops, they tried early on. In fairness to them, they tried. No one accepted a virtual thing. That's why me and Chuck disagree. I remember the time when no one cares about it, that online wasn't the same. But maybe it has changed. Chuck could be right.
Well, absolutely right. I also think it's because they were doing it badly. So now that we've had a year to kind of learn what to do and how to do it right and all that, I feel like you've already created those. You've already done that learning and you've done that research and you've kind of more or less sort of figured it out. That's why it'll be a hopefully a better evolution to Comic Cons. But again, we'll see. This is all speculation, and what we do, in the comic world, so much of it is speculation. So you can't take anything any of us say. You have to take it all with a grain of salt.
Not gospel. It's just thoughts, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll say one thing: we're all excited about the future of comics. If you had said to me that coming out of this pandemic, comics' future looked brighter at the beginning of it, I'd be like, "What you smoking? Can you pass it?" Because that was not something you would have seen. But here we are. We're at a position where we can shoot up, and these cons coming back could be a big moment. I hope everyone takes as much advantage as they can. And look, I want success for everyone. I want everyone to be successful. I say it all the time. Even the people I don't like, I don't want them to not eat. I just don't want them eating my table. And that's to Tupac, who said that. Credit to them. I think that's it. I'm going to look real quick at this. Let's see. Mike real quick says, to do it right, Sean and Chuck and a bottle of hot sauce. Oh, boy. Creators should do their own live thing from shows they attend. Why just count on the big ones? A lot of creators do. I did for years. And I know Chuck's done it. I think a lot of creators I know go live, actually, Pops. Mike says, indie comics look... You spelled indie wrong, by the way, Mike. It's INDEE, Mike. Just so you spell it right. Comics looks brighter. Marvel and DC have been so-so. Although, credit to DC, they've increased their cover price. So, I just can't wait to run into Travis and talk about cover prices soon. Pop says, or I'll book people from live shows where there are 15, 30-minute spots, adapt and overcome. I wish you luck, Pops. Anything that helps comics is worth doing. I'll put it that way, and I'll leave it at that. Chuck, thank you for being on today and not having me just talking into the wall. I appreciate everyone who's helped the industry. Keep helping the industry. I hope that we all find success as we begin to restart, and that's it. We're out of here, man. I officially opened the Comic-Con highway season for the first time this year. Send me your info. Tell me where you're going to be so we can cover you. Comics news. I'll even bring up the newsroom that we have on the bottom here that you guys can fill it out. You guys will see it right now. Join us. There it is. Comics Newswire at yahoo.com. Let us cover your event so we can tell where you're going to be. Thank you. And you're all awesome for getting to this point. Stay awesome and stay geeky and support each other. Last words, Chuck?
Peace, love, and comics, guys.